cheerful. Maybe I should put on some socks or cover myself with a blanket, for I am cleansing. I have managed. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm on a breakthrough, on an emotional breakthrough. And usually when I get to this point where I manage to work something out of myself, my body starts to cleanse. And generally how you can tell if your body is cleansing, right? It's like sometimes you might even feel a bit nauseous, a bit dizzy, lightheaded, right? It's like runny nose, a lot of sneezing. You might feel a bit vulnerable and cold. And it's very important that if you go through symptoms of cleansing, which is what they really are, whatever other people tell you, this is what I believe from my own experience. And when I work with these symptoms in a way that I give myself a little rest, you know, I wear a little bit of socks, you know, I drink tea with ginger, for instance. Sage tea is also very good. Just any herbal tea probably. But yeah, I think you can probably also drink green tea. And then in general, just rest, right? Rest. Maybe take a hot bath and put some essential oils into it. You could even put some olive oil into it. I don't know if you ever have heard of oil therapy. There's probably quality in quality, and that you can probably tell by the price, because some of these are really expensive. But I don't think you have to. You could, for example, make a hot bath and then you just take, you know, a handful of cloves and you just simply put them in there. And then you put a handful of cloves into your bathtub alongside some olive oil or maybe almond oil. And that can really boost your bath a little. Just saying. Yeah, okay. What I want to do right now is I want to read something to you, because this is about, right, trying to stay away from porn. Yeah? And many of us are struggling with this. I have found a way that works for me. Right? It doesn't mean that I completely stopped to masturbate, but you know, I work with transitions. It's very hard to stop masturbating and watching porn at the same time. So I suggest a stepwise path to liberation, right? You take baby steps. You don't go from I've watched porn every day and I've masturbated every day for the past couple of years to I do none of that anymore. So what you can do is simply you start doing other things instead. And to just get away from porn, you know, that's your first goal. You keep masturbating, right? But you stay away from porn as much as you can. And that also means, right, if you start feeling frustrated and you want to watch porn, you know, you can just masturbate, right? I mean, that kind of stuff works. There are no rules. You just do whatever works for you. And for me, that works. So the last couple of days I've been, I mean, you could say I feel a little ashamed, but actually I don't. I kind of worked on my shame. So when I masturbate, right? And then I know why I did it. Yeah, because I was frustrated and I was craving for a woman and there was none, so I took care of myself. You could say it like this. This is how you take care of yourself, right? Taking care of yourself isn't going looking for a partner to have sex with. It's knowing what you need right now and how to help yourself, right? And right now I'm doing a lot of art and stuff, but sometimes I just get really frustrated to be with a woman And that's one of my major concerns because I really like to be with women. And so in this transitional phase, what I'm doing is I'm basically looking at women that I find attractive online on pictures, right? I just look at pictures, and then it's a different thing because the thing doesn't move, so you need to start using your fantasy more. So how you can do that, I found somebody found me on Instagram, a very beautiful young woman. Whether it's disgusting to do it like this, but if somebody puts their content out there and they show their bodies, then I say they put it out there. This is, at least, it's better than doing porn. So I wrote something and I posted it on Medium, also on Instagram, and it's called The Shape of Your Breasts. And this is one way of how you can channel your sexual desires into art. You can write text. It doesn't have to be all beautiful, right? You can also write everything else down. Whether or not you want to share that is up to you. I generally share everything, but I also like to keep it a bit peaceful, right? I want to get to love, right? Because porn is far from being love. Porn is rape. Porn is fear. Porn is anger. Porn is rape. Porn is frustration. So I want to get to love. So how do I get to love? By making transitions, right? I'm out of love. I want to get into love. How do I do that? I look at a beautiful picture of a woman that I find attractive without hating her that I can't have her. I just sit with this image and I start loving her as much as I can. I look at everything. I don't just look at her breasts or her tits or her ass or think of how I would screw her. I do none of that. What I do is this here. I will read it to you. So it's called The Shape of Your Breasts. I see your eyes looking at me, and a smile is transforming the dampness of my mood. I cannot help but notice how your body expresses the beauty I see within. I look at your eyes once more, but my eyes are greedy for more. I think we all know that one. They start to trace the lines of your body gently, almost as if I was touching you. Nay, exactly as I would touch you. You see, how often do you see that in pornography? I'm just saying. My eyes find my way to your lips and down the line of your neck. They find your arm, and I can almost feel the softness of your skin. My eyes now fall into an abyss, for they have been caught by your beautiful breasts. Delicate they seem, fragile, so sensitive that I would be ever so gentle with them. Not grab them with force, but gently stroke them and caress them with my lips and my tongue. For they are moist and warm, and your breasts would welcome them, like your arms welcome me in a longing embrace. It is hard to draw away from them, not because I could not, but because their shape is gentle and soft, as is your body and your eyes. My eyes seek your eyes once more, and I feel drawn back into their depth. The memory of your breasts takes hold of me once more, and I feel like a child that wants to be close to them. I feel strange to write all of this, but your beauty is exhilarating. It fascinates me, and I could spend hours, nay, lifetimes, looking at you, and it would never be enough. You are woman, I am man. What we could do together is a secret we must uncover together, but each for ourselves as well. Right. So, you know, this is like me sitting at home wanting to be with a woman, right? But I realized that porn can't give me that, yeah? Porn cannot give me that, ever. Just can't give me that. It's impossible to get anything out of porn. What you want, you will never get from that. So how can you get a little bit closer? Because I realized, you know, if I would be with a woman right now, you know, I'd be full of anger. Because why do we watch porn? Because we're so angry that we can't be with a woman right now. And why are we angry about that? Well, because we want to spend time with a woman, right? We want to spend time with a woman. We are angry at women because we think they, you know, they're supposed to make us feel better. But that's bullshit. Because that just turns you into an asshole. Into a pimp. You don't want to be a pimp, right? I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, what do you want to be is gentle and loving. And you cannot never see that in porn because porn is just about, you know, male pleasure. Nobody cares how the woman feels like when 20 guys are screwing her and they say, oh yeah, you like that, don't you? And the woman says, oh yeah, yeah, and the guys, they have no appreciation for her, right? I mean, none. They have no appreciation for the beauty of a woman. You know, they just want to screw her. And you know what that means, to screw? It means a very negative way. They don't want to have sex or make love or something. No, they just want to screw. They just want to screw, screw, screw. But a woman is not a tool. A woman is a living being, just like you are a living man. So, you know, I don't really understand why men are so angry with women. Can you explain this to me? What's the reason why men are so angry? Well, you could say men are generally angry. Men are generally angry. And they just want an outlet. Yes, so to them, you know, a woman is an easy way to deal with that. To deal with it. But that just means you're just, right, putting all your responsibility onto how you feel onto a woman. But how much weight is that woman supposed to carry? Right? I mean, how much weight do you expect a woman to carry? And you call yourself a man? I mean, sorry, but no wonder that you feel ashamed. Because you're a piece of shit. Yeah? And I'm saying that because I went through the exact same thing. Wow. I mean, this is how you can transform it. This is how you can transform your greed for women. I mean, just get a hold on yourself, man. A woman is not your toy. A woman is the mother of your children. So what's your deal? Right? I mean, what's your deal? Why do you have to be so angry with them? I mean, just start appreciating them. They won't love me. Fuck off, man. It's your job to love yourself. No woman wants to love me. You have to love yourself, man. It's not the job of a woman to run around and just love every man that has no love for himself. A man is supposed to give love. That's how it is. A man is supposed to give love and to give stability for the family so that the woman can feel safe, because you aren't going to breastfeed your child, are you? You aren't going to be the one that's going to breastfeed your child. No, it's the woman that's going to do that. Do you know how much energy it takes? If your body produces food for another person, that takes a lot of energy. So you have to be strong. And if you're sitting around moping that there's no woman and you're just masturbating, yeah, how can you be strong if you decide to be weak? So the only thing you can do is just accept I'm really weak right now. And then you just start to shut up. And you're going to say, you know, I'm not going to sit around being angry at women, because masturbating is an expression of anger. You know, even if you masturbate to a woman's beauty, it is an expression of anger. It's like frustration. There's no other way of saying that. Now, I was once out on we were camping, and a friend and me, we went swimming. And a guy friend, in the morning. So like 4 or 5 in the morning or something, and we both felt like going swimming. And because we slept right next to a lake, in tents and stuff. And so we got up and we went swimming. And as we were swimming, a guy came, a man, and he was hiking naked. He was hiking naked, but he did wear socks and shoes, I believe. And he was hiking naked, and then he came around the corner, and we were in the water, and he was standing behind some bushes, and he saw us camping there. He saw the tents and stuff. I can't really tell you why. Actually, probably I can, but it's a little bit complicated because I only saw him very fondly. And he was standing there, and we were looking at him, and he started to jerk off. And he masturbated, and then he left. And then I called after him, oh yeah, nice seeing you, or see you next time or something. The thing is, if you imagine you would be that guy, right? You would be alone, and you see tents, and you think there's people, and you masturbate. You have no idea that there's people that actually see you. It feels kind of exciting. But if you would have known that, we would have seen you, you probably wouldn't have done it. So why are you doing it in the first place? It's kind of dishonest to yourself. I mean, if you wouldn't do it, if other people would be around, then why are you doing it at all, right? I mean, I'm not filming myself when I masturbate. So it's kind of phony, right? I mean, I'm showing a picture of myself that's really fake. So why am I doing that? That's a very good question. Yeah, because I'm frustrated. So a lot of my content deals with a lot of anger. Yeah, because I'm trying to get rid of it. And it's very hard. No, that's all I can say to that. So I'm making a lot of art at the moment because an art is an expression of how I feel. Right? And so I make art. And you can see that in a lot of my art now is penises and breasts. And when I say things like, stay away from porn, you may think I'm motivating you. I'm actually motivating myself by motivating others. Because it makes it kind of a bit easier, right? So, this is how you're gonna live. I've tried. Masturbation is an empty road. And it will make you angry, and you will feel empty and exploited. And that, of course, then has an impact on your entire life. It has an impact on your entire life. Because if you feel empty and exploited, then how are you supposed to give stability to your wife and your children? if you can't even pull your own weight. So right now, right, you know, I masturbate. I masturbate. You know, I can tell you that. I masturbate. And what else? Well, do you see how much content I create? Do you see how much content I create although I masturbate? Do you see me moping about it? I mean, I would like to stop doing it, that's for sure. But when I don't manage, you know, I just continue my life. I mean, that's the best way of doing it, because what's the point? I mean, if you masturbate, or if you've masturbated, and at the moment that's what you're doing, well then what's the point of moping about it? Because you've just masturbated, and so what, man? Monkeys masturbate? I mean, do I have to be an ass about it? No. I mean, you masturbate, you masturbate. That's all there is to it. I mean, if you think you're a disgusting person, yeah, and you can't look people in the eye anymore because, oh, I masturbated. And so what, man? Everybody does. You know, if I make an image like this is basically masturbation. You know, it's like, this sometimes gives me a hard-on. You know, not this image, but when I draw breasts like this gives me a hard-on. It makes me like, wow, yeah? So you can channel your sexual frustration, which is sexual energy, you can channel that into art. But I have realized that it's very hard, right? You know, I've tried that, but there's no end then. I mean, you can keep going. You can fill whole books with art. Maybe you should start doing that. So this is how we talk about transitions, right? You know, you don't start from one day to be an active masturbator. And then the next day, you know, maybe some people do that, but usually there's a form of waking up to it, right? Usually there's a form of transition. Usually there's this process of, oh my God, right? You first have to wake up to what you've been doing, and then you start then you have to work through your shame that you've been doing it, right? And I've been doing that already. I mean, I've been doing that a lot. You know, I don't feel shame when I masturbate. To me, it's like cleaning my nose, right? I mean, if my nose feels full, you know, I clean it. And that is exactly the problem, because why? Because I have the feeling, you know, it's not really, you know, what is leaking out of me? And why is it leaking? So there seems to be an emotional wound, right? I have some kind of emotional wound somewhere. It's a trauma, right? And I can talk to you about it. I can tell you what my trauma is. At the age of 3, yeah, my sister was 7 at the time. We went on holiday, okay? We went on holiday, and my sister and I were sleeping in the same room together. And my sister at the age of 7 had started reading some weird magazines where they talk about sexual stuff at the age of 7. And I was her brother, and I was 3, and I was sleeping next to her, or maybe I was 4. Yeah, something like that, right? And what happened was, she came to me, and she said, "Hey, I read something in a magazine, do you want to try that with me?" It's like a game, right? Yeah, well, whatever. And then she told me, well, you know, you have to get naked, and I have to get naked, and then you take your penis, and you have to put it in here. Yeah, I mean, at the age of 3 or 4, you don't get an erection. No, I didn't know what I was doing. But, you know, I was kind of gullible. You know, she was supposed to be responsible because she was the older one. But I realized much later that she's not very responsible. Anyway, so what did she do? Well, she was lying there and I went on top of her and I tried to put it in, but it didn't really work. Of course, because, you know, she wasn't a woman and I wasn't a man. And I had no erection and she wasn't ready for anything. And so it was just like, you know, like you take Barbie dolls and do, right? And then, okay, nothing happened. Yeah, seemingly. But you know what happened? Well, shame happened. And I was so, you know, what has happened to you? You know, why are you masturbating? I know this happened to me. And I still have a hard time dealing with this because I feel ashamed. But I was a child. And I remember I did some kind of healing session with myself alone. And sometimes these things happen in a very strange way. And I went to the bathroom. No. Yeah, anyway. I told my mom at one point that it happened and she said, "And? You were children. Doesn't matter." You know, that helped a little by just saying this happened to me. Whether or not people believe you, it doesn't really matter, but sometimes it's important. And you also have to know, right? Don't just talk to anybody about it. You know, talk to the people you feel like they wouldn't judge you for it, right? If you have somebody in your family or amongst friends where you know they don't gossip and they would just listen to it, maybe speak to them about it. I mean, you can speak to me about this if you want. Whatever it is, right? I'm a good listener. But just don't make fun about it. Like, don't make up stuff. Like, you know, I would catch on to that. Believe me. You know, if you come to me and lie to me, believe me, I will figure it out. And then I'm gonna give you shit for it, believe me. If I unmask you as somebody who's just trying to play the victim role, yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. So this is a nice offer, but depending on how you approach me, so if you approach me in a very disrespectful way, I will just ignore you. You know, I will just tell you to fuck off. Because this is a space for healing, right? This is a space for healing. And I'm not here to, for you to get rid of your frustration. I'm here for you to open up to how you feel. And that's why I open up, right? You know, I'm not as vulnerable as you think I am, by the way. You know, I've dealt with this stuff already. You know, I've gone through all this shame, right? I've been doing this for years. I mean, I've already talked about these things on my podcast. This is nothing new to me, right? I mean, I've already said all these things. Everything that I felt ever ashamed about is already out there in my content. So I'm not really holding on to this anymore. But yeah, I still have the habit, right? Because once you work through your shame and you think, well, what's happening? You realize, well, what's this? You know, I've worked with all that shame, but the habit remains. And the habit is harder to get rid of than the rest of it. And what is probably happening is, and that happens sometimes with emotional wounds, is that you have the wound, and you saw now what caused the wound to appear. And what you're doing with it is, you know, you keep poking your finger into it. Oh yeah. Because you got used to the pain, right? Like sometimes I have a wound, like a physical wound, and I do the same thing. I keep poking it. But sometimes it's better to just let it rest because it has to heal. But sometimes you also really have to clean it. Only how to clean it, yeah, well, that's a bit difficult. You know, sometimes I feel like it's very difficult. Well, this is one way of cleaning it. I mean, just look at it. You know, just take a look at it. This was the first thing that I drew. So I draw one thing and I keep my drawings more or less simple because I do the rest later. You know, first thing is to give it a shape, right? I don't work on an image for hours. You know, this is just my emotion. What does it show? You know, oh yeah, beautiful breasts. And I also can see how my art changes over time. You know, this is like Beautiful breasts. You know, I really like breasts. They're very beautiful. And this is a better way of seeing breasts. You know, to see the round shape and to just appreciate the beauty of a woman's breasts. Wow, so beautiful. I mean, really. I can see that, I can lose myself in them. But what is much prettier is actually if you look at pictures of women that are dressed, because it leaves more room for your fantasy, right? It's less greedy. And so this is more like, you see, it doesn't look as sad anymore. It's not this sad, slobby thing. It's more like, it's actually quite cute. And then you continue, all right, you know, it's a penis, and it's like shame, all right. You know, I feel a bit sad sometimes that I'm still doing it. And then my head also, it's a bit crippled. So art is also one way, you know, maybe I should start drawing with left a little. Yeah, I'll do the next image with left. So you can also transition and just see, because maybe if I start using my left hand, you know, different art is going to appear. It's possible. I've never done that because, you know, I don't know anymore which side is which, but one is, I think left is feminine and right is masculine. You know, right, I often feel like punching people with that. So you can start trying to make art with your left hand, because this is very masculine. This is very, very male stuff. An actually interesting idea. Okay, I will leave that one. Yeah. And now I'll do something with my left hand. Because this is also something I'm trying to get used to, right? And then how I generally do this, I mean, I've discussed it already. Because now I also have to realize my left hand is not used to holding anything. My left hand isn't really used to doing fine lines and stuff. So it feels like I've been sitting on it all my life. And there's another part, right? At the age of... So why that man masturbated is... That's how I see it, right? He was walking, he was wanting to hike naked. And he wanted to hike past, you know, the place where all the tents were now. And now he couldn't do it. And so he walked and he got stuck at this place. And he realized, damn, I cannot walk past there because there's people, and that made him so angry that he just masturbated. And he masturbated and instead he could have seen it and he could have said, oh well, I'll just go somewhere else. But now he thought, right, I have the right to be angry and I'll just, you know, throw my anger at them. But he threw the anger at himself because he didn't know how to channel it. You know, he could have used the anger to simply go a different way. This is very different. I'm just saying, yeah. This is very, very different. But he transformed it into an ejaculation. You know, he could have used the energy to help him with his hiking. But, you know, well, he wants to hike naked in an area where there's humans. Well, kind of stupid, right? I mean, you have to get used to this kind of stuff. Because we aren't alone here, right? Sometimes you want to do something, somebody will come and you think, you know, disturb you. But they just want to engage with you. And so, when I was a child, I started doing things with my left hand. And because I've been talking a lot with my parents throughout my life, and I asked them about how I was as a child, or just random things, right? They would sometimes tell me things about myself that I had forgotten. And one of these things was that at a very young age, you know, there was a time when I started using my left hand for writing. And my parents told me, don't do that. You know, you have to use your right hand. Why? Because they thought that's how you do it, right? They thought that being left-handed is somehow wrong, because everybody they knew was right-handed. And they thought you have to be right-handed. Maybe even their parents told them. And I had the feeling that a lot of my creative potential went down the drain. I think if I would have been allowed to draw with my left hand, or to write, I think I could have done different kind of art. So now I feel like I want to use my right hand again. But if I never practice, this is also a new challenge for me now. Because I want that my left and my right side are balanced. And I'm constantly being drawn back into this anger, right? Because my right side is stronger than my left side, because I've been only using my right hand for everything I've been doing. That means I'm really unbalanced, so the only way to stop that is by training my left hand. Right. And so one way to engage with your frustration is maybe start drawing with the hand. Maybe you first start drawing with the hand you've been using all the time, and then you start drawing with the other hand. And at one point you draw with both hands at the same time, which is actually, this is what I'm aiming to do. So also as an artist, you can just keep challenging yourself. And I tell you, it's a very, very weird thing. If you are, if you are used to being a very angry person, yeah, and you are used to masturbating and being frustrated, and then you start working on these things emotionally, and you let go of them, and suddenly you're not as angry anymore. It's actually like, what the fuck, Who is that guy? I don't know him. Yeah, so you have to get to know him. Yeah, you have to study him a little. You have to give him some room, this gentle, not masturbating guy. You have to give that guy some room. And so, if you grew up and all you did was watch porn, right? Well, if you've never been with a woman before that, and you don't really know how to be gentle because nobody's ever taught you, well, just be gentle. You have to learn this, so you start teaching your hands to be gentle. Yeah? And if you're too gentle, it's probably you can teach your hands to be strong as well. So I like doing workout. I like chopping wood, but I also like doing the fine stuff. I like somehow doing crochet when I have something I want to crochet. But right now I also feel like I need some work on my left hand. Now, I don't know what this is, right? I don't know what this is. And it's not important what it is. It's something that wanted to come out. And right now it's the best I can do, right? So maybe if you see this, you can think, oh, I could never do that. Well, I will show you later how I'm going to transform this into art. Now I'm just going to make a session and record that online. Maybe even in the same recording, I don't know yet. So I'm not going to do too many. I'm just going to do a couple. And I've never drawn with left, by the way. I'm just trying things. And I also don't try to control it right now. I don't want to force myself to draw anything, because that's also the beauty right now, that because my hand can't really do it, right? I just make shapes wherever I feel like. It doesn't look very, very, but this is emotions, right? I don't know what I'm drawing. Right now I just let it flow. Sometimes I only see what it is when I put color onto it. Like I said, first it's just getting stuff onto the paper, and then you work with that. So you use colors. The way I work with it, I take a picture. And then I bring it to the computer, and then I work on GIMP, G-I-M-P. And I work with Linux because I like it. It's a very neat operating system. So yeah, what do I see here? You know what I see? That my left side is kind of confused, right? My right side is very certain about these things. You know, if it comes to being masculine, I'm kind of certain. But if it comes to emotions, nah, you know, it's all kind of scattered. It's all kind of weird, wishy-washy stuff. You know, it feels like my left side still needs to take shape. Yeah? And that's why I work on that now. You know, I can't really do like proper circles. And that of course means, you know, we all want to do like Tai Chi with our lives, you know, keep the energy flowing. But if my left hand cannot channel energy properly, because I've never used it, well then nothing's happening here. And I cannot even imagine right now how it would feel if both hands would be able to hold a knife and chop with it. It's also kind of dangerous, right? If you don't know how to use a knife with one hand, you know, better use the one you know. But I can just start doing things like this, and it will just increase my ability to use both hands the same way. And then I'm also less afraid of losing one arm or something, right? Because then I can just always use the other one. You know, sometimes you can work with your fear in really weird ways. You can just, if you're afraid of losing your main arm, you can just start training the other one as well. Yeah, and then you think, oh well, if I use one, I can just use the other. Yeah, or if you're afraid of becoming blind, right? You can just get used to the darkness, right? You know, go out when it's dark, go for a walk, you know, but don't be an idiot. I mean, don't be an idiot about it. I mean, you have to know in which environment you are and if it's safe to go out when it's dark, right? So you have to take responsibility, and that will teach you, of course. If you know how to take responsibility for yourself, then what does that mean? Well, it means that you get used to taking responsibility, because as a man, that's what you have to do. You have to take responsibility for your wife and your children, partly, right? Because you are the man in the house, which means you have to be responsible. And that would mean your woman then... Ah, okay, look at this. My first left-handed dog, yeah? This is a bit like, yeah, what am I drawing here? And what I realized is, I really like it that my lines are sometimes a bit jittery. Because they don't have to be. You see, I don't have an idea what this wants to be. I just feel where the pencil wants to go. Yeah? So this is also a bit like a dog. You know, sometimes that's also what I like to do. I like to make these shapes. And then build up on them, right? You draw one, and then you just make more on top of that. Yeah, let's just stick with dogs. Wow, it's a dog paradise. And then you could think, oh, does it have a mouth? Well, this one's a bit happy, right? Also a bit sad. This one There's no place for a mouth, or maybe like this. Yeah. Yeah, you see, we all have reason to be frustrated. I mean, I'm really frustrated because I'm working hard. I'm working really hard. And sometimes we just think like things are going too slowly. Oh, I should be already somewhere else in life, right? I should be already further, further, further. But the truth is, I am where I am. And when I am where I am, right? You know, when I go hiking naked and then there's a bunch of people camping and I have the feeling they block my path, well, why? Well, that's just a thing, right? Now I'm drawing with left. And I feel like, oh, I want to take my right hand and draw with right. Because it's so much better. But it isn't, you know, that's just it's a fantasy. It's not better to draw with right, it's just different. And that's just what you have to get used to. You know, to do things a little bit different. Now you're used to masturbating. Well, what are you going to replace masturbation with? Because to just leave it, yeah, to just put it away like it never existed, you know, that's just like putting it under the carpet. And that never works, believe me. That never works. You know, putting things under the carpet never works. Never, ever, ever. You have to keep it in check. I mean, you have to say, okay, it's still there, right? Wow, where does this come from? This looks a lot like the version of myself that's really ashamed of himself, you know, to have done this with my sister. No, this is how I feel on the inside. This is a disgusting fucking asshole. This is how I feel. You disgusting prick, you know, you've masturbated. You looked at really disgusting porn. I mean, I don't want to say all of the stuff, but I've watched some really disgusting stuff. Yeah. But what can I do about it? I mean, I've done it. You know, I've watched it. And so what? So what, man? So what I watched that? Who hasn't done something that's a little bit ashamed, yeah? Who hasn't done something that he's a little bit ashamed of? Who hasn't done something that he's a little bit ashamed of, yeah? I'm just saying. So don't be too eager, yeah, to point your finger at yourself. How does it even look? Like this? Well, now it's a bit wrong. More like this. You see, I could have looked at my hand, right? Because now I screwed it up. It looks too, you know, it doesn't look like a hand. You know, I could do this, and then I could simply draw that. But for me, this is fine, you know, it doesn't really matter. But I could draw this. You know, I could try to draw it. I watch porn. Yeah, and? I mean, seriously. My teeth are yellow. Yeah, and? My teeth are yellow. I'm so disgusting. Yeah. I ate a pizza. Nobody will ever love me. You just have to start seeing it from a humorous side. I mean, just look at that part of yourself that thinks you're ugly and just say, man, you sure are ugly. Holy shit. You know, a lot of people, they're so afraid of being ugly that they never allow themselves to be really ugly. I mean, there's a part of me that's really ugly. There's this disgusting guy. And if I always hide him, then he's, you know, he's just taking charge. You have to bring these things out in the open and then say, hey, you know, this is you. I see you, you ugly fuck. You know, don't be angry at him like this. You can just say, oh man, look, you're really ugly. And suddenly you can see the beauty in that. Because you can see beauty in everything, my friend. And this is it. Nah, one more. You see, I can keep going with this. And every layer that I uncover, right, as I open up to how I feel, just things start happening, you know. And if I do it in such a way, you know, I play with myself in such a way, yeah, next time I'm with a woman, or I meet a woman, or I speak with a woman, I feel much better about myself because, you know, I'm not a phony anymore. I'm not lying about myself anymore. I'm also not lying to myself, right? Because if you feel ugly, yeah, then you have to work it out of you. You work it out, yeah, by painting. Yeah, and if your smarts are really disgusting and they stink, well then change your diet. Don't make a joke out of it, man. If you fart a lot, don't make a joke out of it, you know? Yeah? Don't make a joke out of it. You're not an idiot, right? You're not an idiot. You know, it's not funny that you don't know how to properly eat. You know, it's just sad. It's disgusting. You know, we say, yeah, we kind of outgrew animals, but we're worse than them. We're worse than them. Yeah, I don't know what this is, yeah? But if your farts smell disgusting, then do something about this. Do some cleansing, yeah? I don't know. You know, start working on that. Eat less or eat different. Change your diet. Start figuring out how to eat more ketogenic, less sugar, yeah, less starch, less meat for sure. You know, look at these things. Ketogenic diet, health benefits. You know, you will replace your protein source will be more like chickpeas and lentils. And you will eat more onions. Yeah, and for a while you will feel really terrible. I can guarantee you that, because if you go through cleansing, you will feel like you're getting sick. You know, because that's what people think is happening. They think, you know, if your body starts to, you know, you get the snivels, you start to sneeze, you start to cough, you think, oh my God, I'm getting sick. No, you are sick, and your body tries to get rid of the sickness. And you're constantly stopping it, right? You feel sick, what do? You take an aspirin, that stops the process. You have to assist your body in this process. Drink a lot of tea, a lot of water, like herbal tea, not fruit tea. Fruit tea is shit. It's absolutely shit. Yeah, just natural tea. Yeah, herbal tea. Sage, chamomile. This is actually the best. Green tea is good. You know, if you like coffee and stuff, you can also do a bit of black tea. And if you drink coffee anyway, start putting cardamom into it. Start putting cardamom into it. You know, get it from a Turkish shop. Coffee with cardamom powder in it. You can already get that. Yeah. Or you can put it into it yourself, right? Start using more spices, learn how to cook. At the moment, I don't really have the space to film myself cooking, but believe me, once I have my own kitchen, I will do that. I will make videos where I'm cooking. I'm a great chef. I will teach you how to cook, and I will talk to you about diet. You know, there's one cooking video, but at the moment, I'm still holding it back. So yeah, I really need this kind of studio place because what I can do here is very limited. So yeah, I also say I need support to get out of here. Yeah, if you have money and you want to invest in somebody to teach you, yeah, you can buy a book and learn from that. What you can also do, you know, a good way to start is the Book of Fear. It's a good place to start because I just cover a lot of the things. Because this is what I mean, responsibility. Take responsibility. And I think the Book of Fear is the best way to start. because it teaches you a lot of the basic things that I'm using and that I don't discuss in later books. Okay. And what else? Book of Fear is a good place to start. Yeah, and the rest is my podcast. You can, you don't have to buy a book. Check out my podcast. There's roughly more than 100 episodes. You can listen to them. You can also check on Medium. There's a lot of articles. I suggest maybe read the one Being in Love. These articles are also on my website. I mean, there's a lot of them, so you have to dig a bit, right? You have to dig a bit. Go through them and look at the ones that you like, right? You just check out one and then you just read it till the end. It's just to find some inspiration, some different kind of thoughts, because the way I think is very different. Very different. And you can look at how I do art if you're interested in doing it, how I use gym. There's a playlist on YouTube, The World in Color, and there's, I don't know, dozens of videos where I do art. So you can look at that. Some are also with sound recording. Sometimes I listen to Ramdas, sometimes there's just music, but I started changing that because I don't really want to listen to this music. Also because it's very complicated with copyright and stuff. YouTube starts to claim this. They say then, oh yeah, you can't use that in your stream because somebody claims copyright for it. You see, I don't really know what this is now. It doesn't matter. I put it on the computer, I take pictures, put it on the computer, I start working on it, and then I see what it wants to be. Right now, yeah, this could even be like an elephant, right? Like if I do like this, cool. Looks a bit like an elephant, yeah? This is an eye, this is the trunk. This is the ear, right? It's just there. Sometimes I draw something and then I see shapes in it. Suddenly you've got eyes. I didn't know I was drawing eyes. You know what I thought? I thought this was the gas. A bubbly gas bubble. From the fart, because when I drew this, it looked like a butt. Yeah. But now it's something else. Suddenly there's an elephant in there. Yeah, and then the elephant makes a lot of noise. People think they're funny when they fart. It makes sense. But actually it's ignorance, it's stupidity. You know who farts loud in front of people? And spreads his butt cheeks to fart even louder? Yeah, it's people that are really sad on the inside. They're so desperate for love. So, they're willing to be laughed at. Because, better than not getting any attention for some people is getting, being looked at, being laughed at, being looked down on. That's what some people rather have than nothing. So instead of looking for attention from other people, what you can do is just you start giving attention to yourself. That's what I've been doing. I just pay attention to what I need. How do I feel? What do I read? What do I need right now? Also, what kind of content am I looking at? Okay, it's all kind of negative. Maybe I've been watching really aggressive movies. Maybe I should change that. Or look at why am I watching these aggressive movies, right? This is how I feel like, right? This is how I feel. This is how I've done it. I just ask questions about everything, yeah? And then I sit in a squat. And that also really helps open up my pelvic floor. Yeah, and then the energy can flow a bit better. And I start stretching. And that's roughly all there is to it. Yeah, I believe you know how to generally sit in a squat, right? It's like this, you sit in a squat, which means you sit on your feet. Yeah, just sit on bare feet, on a carpet, or wherever you are, and you just try to hold that. Just be gentle with your knees, right? If you can't get down as low as this, well, then maybe you can get down as low as this. And then you just sit and let your own weight stretch your legs. And it's the best way to stretch all of it. Yeah, and it even gives you more muscles and more stability. So there's countries where people never sit, right? They either squat or they stand or they walk or they run, right? Or they jump or they lay down to sleep. But there's people that never sit because sitting is stupid. I mean, if you live in the desert and you would sit, then you know what would happen. An ant would crawl into your butt. You don't really want that, right? You don't want ants crawling into your butt. No. So you sit like this. I think that's the reason why people sit like this. Or maybe because their legs are so strong they actually have no trouble. So yeah. I want to... Yeah, but you get trouble if you live in a bubble, so you have to get out of that. I think, you know, how to work with that, I think I've shown you something. You know, you can just sit down, you can just start drawing things, and then you look at the image and see, what do I see in there? You know, I could even go back to this one. Oh no. No, I could even go back to this one. Oh no, I could even go back to this one. You know, I don't know if this recording, if you can see what I drew here. But you will see it once because I will do these bit by bit in a session, right? Because these are quite a lot. Sometimes I don't know how much I'm drawing until I've drawn it. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 drawings. This is one session. This is my emotional debris. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I just want to leave it like this. It's just my feeling. You know, sometimes I think I'm drawing a pyramid and then something else comes out. And I don't want to change this at all. I just want that it stays like this. I don't want to change this at all. You know, sometimes, you know, now this could be a snake, for instance. Yeah? Or a worm or something, yeah? This could be a worm. You know, this is the tail, actually. Interesting. Because what happens if I start looking also at what I drew and then make an image out of it? It gives a little bit more meaning. So what does that represent for me specifically? Well, my zodiac, my Chinese zodiac is the snake. You know, I'm a bit like a wiggly character. You can't really grab me easily. And if you piss me off, you know, I'll show you that I have teeth. The snake is also for energy in general. You know, the Kundalini, which is the energy that's connected with spiritual growth, supposed to be 2 snakes that lie curled together at the base of your spine, and once you start to awaken, they start crawling up your spine, come out of your nose. So yeah, breath work is probably really important, only I never do that. Sometimes also I just want to let it go. Sometimes looking at these things just makes me feel a bit sick. That's, you know, sometimes I really hate the images that I draw. And the reason why that happens, of course, is because these are my emotions. And sometimes I really hate working on an image. Sometimes I look at an image and I think I really hate this. Sometimes I think, wow, this is really beautiful. And sometimes I look at an image and I just hate it. It just disgusts me. But I can't help that. That's just what wanted to come out at the moment. And so I just go through with it, right? Sometimes I feel like I just want to delete all the content that I've created, but then I think, yeah, but that's at the moment, you know, it's my job, so it would be very stupid. Yeah. And once you start, this will never stop. Believe me. It's just a continuing process. So one has to get used to it.